Thank you for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I do this channel for safety, and I want to get to this right away. All on track from the last couple of videos. You can see it not impacting Puerto Rico. It's not going to impact the Virgin Islands. There's Trinidad and Tobago over toward Barbados. Here we are in the ABC Islands. And again, this pulling away. It'll stay south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and it will bring some showers and storms to Jamaica, but the bulk of it staying south. Little glitch here on the satellite, but you see a lot of the brighter colors. So it is gradually getting better organized. And this is now Tropical Storm Julia pulling away from the northern ends of Colombia and Venezuela, and that will continue to work its way into the western Caribbean. And with that, it will eventually strengthen. So let's get a look at the track. Tropical Storm Julia. As expected, some hurricane warnings are up for the islands, and then we have tropical storm watches up for the eastern sections of Honduras, coastal sections, Nicaragua, the rest of the main coastline. We've got those hurricane watches, and we'll keep an eye back to the west as this moves inland. But right now, about 100% chance of at least tropical storm conditions for Nicaragua. And most of this should stay to the south of Mexico, Cayman Islands, and again, Jamaica. I do like to point out what areas are also not going to be affected. All right, we get a look at this. Earliest arrival of tropical storm force winds would be Saturday evening, right around 8 o'clock, coastal sections of Honduras, eastern coast, and Nicaragua. So as we get into Saturday night, conditions go downhill, and this should become a hurricane. Now, right now, you see this blob here, this orange shading we're seeing. Those are the tropical storm force winds. That is all offshore of over toward the forest, northern end of Colombia, and that will continue to work its way off to the west. So we're going to monitor that. That's going to grow. That'll get bigger. The system will get better organized. Models in very tight agreement, bringing this right into Nicaragua by the time we get into Sunday, then working inland. And I'll keep an eye on down the road what happens over in the Bay of Campeche. But inland, as we work our way into, say, Guatemala, El Salvador, Belize, we're going to see coastal Belize and back inland. We're going to see that better chance of flooding with this. So this is going to be a coastal event and an inland event with the potential of mudslides. So we're going to be monitoring that, of course, very carefully, a heavy rain event. Now you can see here, again, a lot of squiggly lines. These lines are going through the green shading on your screen and the yellow. And what that is telling me is that all the models are really picking up on this is going to make landfall as either a strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane. So there will be some strengthening. So that's what we're seeing now with this. Again, it will be a strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane as it moves onshore eventually in Nicaragua. So you see this box here, see almost all the lines going through it. Those are either tropical storm or Category 1 hurricane conditions. So I'm going to be monitoring that closely. I don't see anything much more than that. Then, of course, right when it hits land, these systems need water. So then we get some weakening after it hits land. But then the issue will become the rain, the potential of mudslides, the flash flooding we're going to see. So you get the coastal impacts. And then as something drives inland, especially with our terrain, you get some of the mudslides. So this is where we're still monitoring. Again, Mexico, we're in better shape. Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, down through Costa Rica. It should stay mainly to the south of Mexico and mainly to the north of Costa Rica. Honduras, Nicaragua in particular, but inland, my friends, in Guatemala. As you get toward El Salvador, we're going to see that rain threat really going up late on Sunday, but in particular Monday and even Tuesday of next week. So with this westerly track we've been mentioning, and I was talking about in the video yesterday, in Honduras, especially in the eastern side, and Nicaragua, we need to prepare for hurricane conditions as we get into Sunday and Sunday night. That's when they'll be moving in. Even those tropical storm conditions on Saturday night. So we've got to be making those preps right now. So what the heck does that mean? That means, of course, gusty winds, and I've been highlighting that flood threat. That may be my biggest concern with this. Of course, there'll be coastal impacts with the surge and with the coastal flooding, but as this quickly weakens as it moves in, the rain is going to be extra. It'll be a lot. So the winds, to break it down further, hurricane conditions, 75 miles per hour, 65 knots with higher gust, and then 5 to 12 inches of rain. So not just in that first circle, but the circle I just drew. Again, as this drives inland, we're going to see the mudslide threat growing and that flash flood threat continuing even as it pulls off to the west of Guatemala and works its way back into Mexico. So some of these systems have kind of a couple different events. You get the coastal impacts, but then inland, especially with terrain differences, you get the flooding, and that's what we'll be mindful of, and that's what we're prepping for. So if you're in one of those areas that take on flooding in these events, we got to get to some higher ground as we go over the next 24 hours. So we get a look at the European model here. It's pulling away from Colombia. Now, I don't expect any rapid intensifications over the next, say, 12 hours, but let me stop it here. This is by the time we get into late tomorrow, late Saturday. This is when it will intensify. It'll intensify kind of right before it moves on land. Some showers for Jamaica, and then that onshore flow brings in some of the rain for Belize as well. But then this starts to move in by the time we get into tomorrow night and Sunday. This is Sunday morning. It'll be a landfalling either strong tropical storm or Category 1 hurricane by the time we get into Sunday and early Sunday afternoon. Not as much, again, mainly staying south of Mexico, mainly staying to the north of Costa Rica and Panama. Then it works inland, and my concern stays the same, even though it will quickly be downgraded. Julia is going to bring in rain, and then it's going to start to filter in more rain, even back toward Belize. And then I've been mentioning Guatemala and El Salvador. Again, this works in, and that's going to bring us that mudslide threat all the way. This is by the time we get into Monday night, so even Monday and Tuesday. Now, does it try to reform if it swings up to the Bay of Campeche? Does it try to reform in the Pacific? That's still a wait and see. I'm just not sure about that. It is really going to greatly diminish in organization as it moves inland once it hits Nicaragua. So I'm thinking of you. This name on the list is Julia. Next name, Carl. Nothing else crazy out there. Please be safe. Make those hurricane preps in those parts of Honduras and Nicaragua as this continues to work in. I'll keep you posted. I'm thinking of you. Always something with weather. Please be safe, my friends. I hope you have a good rest of your day.